Broke my ankle and I was skating in Superstars. Now I don't think that it's the shoe's actual fault, but it might be. So I'm gonna go through and compare the differences between the normal general release Superstar and the upgraded for skating Superstar ADV to see if I should have just been skating in the normal regular pair or if this was the actual shoe to protect me. The Superstar is probably Adidas' most popular shoe ever, but its roots trace all the way back to 1960. So in the 60s, Adidas was the absolute king, especially of track and field. They had an estimated 75% of all athletes at the Olympics wearing Adidas, but is much less the case in America. There's only a few distributors selling shoes here and there to athletes, but the shoe markets were absolutely dominated by Converse, an American company at the time. And they're all pretty much the same. Every basketball shoe at that time was a clone of like a Converse. You have the canvas upper, the vulcanized rubber outsole, that's pretty much it. But a lot of players were suffering ankle injuries at the time due to these shoes. So therefore, Horst Dassler, the son of the company founder Adi Dassler, went to the 1960 Olympic Games in Rome, and he saw basketball being played at the highest level. And he was enamored by the game. So he went to his parents, Adi and Kofi, I don't know how to say her name. Adi and his wife, who ran Adidas at the time, and he's like, yo, we should make basketball shoes. Like, this sport is really cool. But they did not agree and told him not to waste the time or resources on it, as it was just a minor sport and Adidas was trying to cut costs and boost their efficiency at the time. But Horst decided to go forward with developing a basketball shoe in secret with Adidas France and American distributor Chris Severn, who was having a lot of issues with his own Converse he was playing basketball in at the time. So they started with a silhouette of a shoe they already had called the Olympiad and added more technical pieces that they needed for basketball. A herringbone outsole to improve on Converse grip, a wedge in the sole to protect from hard landings and the shoe crumpling on impact, and a leather upper for more support. But it was still being developed in secret. Every time a new sample would be developed, it would be sent to the US and tested by real players. But most of their feedback was that the soles kept falling apart and coming off. So they ended up inventing a dish sole. Instead of layers of sole materials being glued together, the dish sole was a single unit where all the layers were molded together to produce the dish shape. And that was absolutely revolutionary at the time. So in 1965, Adidas released the Super Grip, the precursor to the Superstar. It was the result of all the years of secret R&D, but players were still really skeptical just because the shoe looked so different to what they were used to. But the salesman slash distributor Chris knew that once he could get them playing in them and on their feet, he knew they would be hooked. But it took until 1967 when the San Diego Rockets decided to have the team try them out for the season, and they got noticed super fast by the rest of the league. By 1969, you could see players wearing the Super Grip across the league, and in 1969, you can actually see key players on the Boston Celtics wearing them in their championship run. But all the while, Adidas France was still experimenting with the shoe, and they were like starting to implement these rubber toe caps and crazy combinations, and it wasn't until the late 60s that the iconic rubber shell toe with its iconic stripes was developed and implemented. So the Superstar as we know it released in 1970, and it hit the ground running. The NBA had been changing now that TVs were really common in pretty much every household in America. The game was way more physical, way more fast, and way more aggressive than ever, and the Superstar's upgraded leather upper, the midsole wedge, the rubber shell toe, and the outsole were proving to be the best option over the Converse for the changing of the game. So the Superstar was so popular that almost 3/4 of NBA players were wearing them at one point, and in 1976, Adidas paid NBA legend Kareem Abdul-Jabbar a record-breaking $20,000 a year to promote the shoe. So the Superstar was so successful, it took from Adidas to not even wanting to make a basketball shoe, not in the basketball shoe market at all, to being the dominant player in the market, to be like the clear number one. Everybody's wearing Adidas. It's why Michael Jordan was about to sign with Adidas when he went pro. That's how successful and revolutionary the Superstar was on the entire market. So they were so popular that they pretty much put Converse out of business inadvertently. You can go watch one of our Converse vids to kind of see the Converse history, but around this time, they pretty much started to go downhill. But as the 80s came around and shoe technology progressed with new companies like Nike pushing the envelope and personal sponsorships changing the territory completely, players moved on from the Superstar. But Sandra Trapp, who is an Adidas historian, has said the secret of the Superstar's long-term success is that it made the jump from court to the street. Players could wear it home directly after playing a game and it still looked good. So the Superstar did not die in the 80s. It might have doubled. It lived on in the 80s, especially in the world of hip-hop. So what started as just a staple in like the New York hip-hop scene, kind of like the New York streetwear fashion, the Superstars made the jump to global street fashion icon when the group Run DMC took out the laces and they wrote a hit song, My Adidas, in 1986. Run DMC and Adidas were so linked together, Adidas actually made a deal with them for an alleged $1 million. So Mr. Daryl Matthews McDaniels, aka DMC, he has said that the deal with Adidas kind of legitimized the culture. It took them from the streets to mainstream white America. So after the shoe went mainstream through hip hop and like MCing and DJing, the Superstar started getting picked up by another relatively new group of athletes. They needed a really durable shoe that protected their feet, skateboarders. So the Superstar has been worn to skate in for years and years just because of its inherent durability that was made for basketball basketball all the way back in, 1970. But in 2015, a newly developed Adidas Superstar ADV came out, supposedly upgraded specifically for the high impacts of skating. The Superstar revolutionized basketball shoes, then revolutionized street fashion, then became a skateboarding staple because of its upgraded materials. So I'm very curious, after all these groundbreaking improvements Adidas made for basketball, how did they actually upgrade it for skateboarding? But we'll see what the actual differences are between the normal Superstars and the upgraded skate Superstars to see what shoe you should actually buy. I did the similar video with the Sambas and the Samba ADVs, and I cut them and I skated them, and the ADVs were actually upgraded to be better. So I have pretty high hopes for this to see what they did for their beefier shoe.
These are micro adjust belts, handmade right here in the shop by us, premium leather, solid brass hardware, and the rounded buckle so it doesn't dig into your gut all day. But what is micro adjust? Well, the one problem everyone always has with their belts is one hole's too tight, one's too loose. These little adjustments right here allow you to adjust your belt by 1/2 inch increments so it fits you exactly how you want for the lifetime of the belt. So check them out below.
So what are these shoes? The brand is Adidas. The style is the Superstar. They weigh 15 ounces. Their price is $100. And so if you go watch that video from 4 years ago that Weston did, these were only $85. So they've gone up $15 in 4 years. They're made in Indonesia, and the positioning from the website says the iconic Adidas Superstar shoes are back. Step into 50 years of sport and street style with these low-top sneakers. A smooth leather upper and a rubber shell toe evoke memories of basketball courts and city streets. The padded tongue and collar add comfort for all-day wear, while the textured rubber outsole provides grip. Whether you're shooting hoops or hitting the town, the Adidas Superstar shoes have the versatility and retro appeal to take you there in classic style. So, what are these? The brand is Adidas. The style is the Superstar ADV, which I think means like advanced or something like that. Not 100% sure. Adidas hit me up. They also weigh 15 ounces. They are also $100. They're also made in Indonesia, but the positioning of this from their website says, no shoe has more clout than the Adidas Superstar, and the Superstar ADV updates an icon for skateboarding. Maintaining the classic look of the original, the Superstar ADV adds stitching where you need it for durability, a one-piece tongue for a formed fit, and a flexible cupsole construction for grip, flick, and comfortable control. So if you want either of these, you can check them out in the links in our description. All right, so first, let's start with the uppers, because they're a little different material. Most skateboarding upgrades are like, we put suede on it, and it's good to go. So for the regular, it's coated leather, it's still grain leather. It's pretty typical for like mass-produced shoes. It's like, not the greatest, but it's not the worst for sure. The ADV, it feels awful to the touch. It feels like microfiber, but it's probably like a nubuck or a very sanded suede, and it feels, ooh, it just like, it sends shivers down my spine. So on the thicknesses, the regular comes in at 1.6 millimeters, and the ADV comes in at just 1.35 millimeters. It's kind of all over the place. It goes from 1.35 to like 1.5. It's fluctuating in thickness. The normal one is thicker, but usually suede and nubuck are way better for skating. And if we put them on the burn test, you can see that the regular, it kind of burns off the coating, but it is still real leather. And the ADV, it kind of burns just like suede, or like you think it would. So it's still pretty good. And one interesting thing, so there are two small upgrades, I guess you can call, because on the normal Superstar, the 3 stripes and this back heel are actually fake leather. But on this, these are actually real leather, which is good to see. Like you can see where I've been skating through them, and everything that I've ever skated that's fake leather right here comes off immediately. So this is at least holding up a little bit. And you can see there's 1 line of stitching around the eyelets on this, and there's 2 lines of stitching around the eyelets on this one. So that's the only extra stitching that I can see from this. They're pretty similar to each other. But if we put it on the most important test, the Martindale abrasion test, which is I put a piece of mob grip on the bottom, we cut out a sample of each shoe, we put on the top, and we put it down and it rubs. It goes in a circle. It's kind of like a teacup ride where it goes in a circle but is also spinning. I think it's probably the best simulation of kickflips and ollies you can do without actually, skating them for 3 or 4 weeks. If we go to the regular, this failed at a surprisingly high 2,970 strokes, which is, it's the second best result, and it's not even for skating. It's like not even upgraded, it's just normal leather. It blew my mind, surpassed all expectations. So I have pretty high hopes for the ADV if this one's doing so good. But the ADV, we ran the test and it failed at 319 strokes, which is worse than the lowest non-skating shoe we have tested as a control. So I was like, that can't be right. Like we ran it wrong somehow. Let's run it again. So I had him run it again and it failed at 417 strokes. So not good. I mean, that's the worst shoe by far. So is it upgrading for skating? No, it's actually way worse. It's 10 times worse than the normal shoe for skating, which is crazy. And skating in it, I could kind of feel it. I think all the complaints everyone ever has about the shoe is that the upper is not very durable, and I'm gonna have to agree. Like, I didn't skate this for very long because I was unfortunately cut short by my ankle snapping, but you can see I was starting to go through right here. It's pretty thin right here. You can actually see, so this is how I broke my ankle right here, and that was one thing. Like my foot hit the ground and went, and it ripped through completely right here. That's weird. It's weird that they would do such a bad leather for a skate shoe. When I was skating it was pretty slippery. There were more than a few times where it's like you ollie and like where your foot should catch it doesn't, and like your foot goes up farther and you don't ollie as high. It's hard to explain, but like if you have experienced that, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You're putting in way more effort and you're not getting as high because it was just a little slippery. So that's kind of a bummer. I'd honestly say it's not upgraded for skating. That is a downgrade for skating right there. But if we go on to the next thing is the shell toe. It's kind of the flick and the fit of the whole shoe. I was really curious how this rubber shell toe will actually affect skating, since it's just, you know, a big chunk of rubber. It has its pros and cons. So the pros are it's pretty grippy and it's really durable. It's probably the most durable toe I've skated yet. Like I'm not even starting to go through anywhere, and I probably skated this one for about 1.5 weeks. And usually by that time I'm starting to get a pretty good chunk worn down, but this is totally fine. But the cons are it's a little weird to figure out how to flick first because it's just such like a big chunk of rubber. So it takes a few sessions to like really figure out what you're doing. Overall, I really like the shell toe. I really like the fit of this shoe. It looks like it's really wide and pretty bulbous, but it's actually pretty narrow and fits pretty snugly on foot. So that's kind of a pro or con depending on how you like your shoe to fit, but these fit my foot like perfectly. But if you go to the insole and insert, the regular is just a basic flat sheet of open cell foam, top to textile. This is pretty much the same. It's a little more contoured, but it is a little more dense. This is just like pretty cheap foam, and this one has at least a little more substance. It's still not great. It's still pretty thin, but it'll definitely help a little bit when you're landing. Honestly, for the rest of the comparisons, the outsole, the midsole, the shell toe, everything else, I'm just gonna have to cut it in half because that's pretty much everything we can see from the outside. So let's get this thing chopped. All right, so I got everything cut in half, and make sure you like, subscribe, comment. It's the best way to support us when we're cutting we've been cutting like 10 shoes apart a week, which cost like $3,000 every week. So that's the best thing you can do to support us, so you can see what you're actually spending your hard-earned money on and what shoes are actually just pulling the wool over your eyes. But that being said, let's see what's inside. All right, so not what I was expecting to see inside at all. It's pretty disappointing, to be honest. So let's start with the big difference, which is the midsole. So the regular, you can see it's a foam midsole, and like this is the wedge they were talking about that they put in the 60s to revolutionize basketball shoes to like provide the impact support and stop it from collapsing when you land. And what's really interesting about this one is it actually has like the egg crate goes around the edge, and they also use foam, so it's kind of like two ways of doing it, which is really smart and interesting. And the ADV, there's no foam. Like they just took all of that stuff out and replaced it with the cheapest possible, hardest impact cushiony you could get. Just rubber columned outsole, which is crazy that they'd switch away from foam to an egg crate. It's like we even see this in Nike Dunks, where the Dunks have more foam than an SB Dunk, but the SB Dunk has different like denser foam and like air units and stuff. This, they literally just took that all out. Like it has this little tiny like foam lasting board, but like the foam lasting board and this right here do not equal this, which is crazy. What a weird thing to take out. All in all, skating it is like, I don't mind it because I'm not throwing myself down big stuff, but it does make it feel more responsive at the cost of comfort. Like it's gonna feel a lot harder, which will make it feel more like a vulc because there's not as much foam and cushioning in there. I would say this is downgraded for skating, not upgraded for skating at all. That's crazy that they did it. Another weird thing is the tongue. They took all the foam out of the tongue for the skateboarding one. The normal one, foam. The skating one, no foam. Once again, it's like a weird thing to do for skating because usually skating upgrades are like, you want a little more foam in there. You want a little more protection on the bottom of your feet. So it's like, it's weird they're taking all of this out. I didn't mind the tongue having no foam. Like it still felt pretty comfortable, but like, it's just like a weird thing to do, right? Like downgrade? I mean, I'd say it's a downgrade. That is odd. But if we go to the outsole, this is one thing where I actually think they upgraded it finally because it looks thicker. So I measured every single part of it. The shell toe thickness, the regular is 2 millimeters thick, and the ADV is 3 millimeters thick, which is good to see. So upgraded shell toe. So if you go to the outsole, the regular is 5 millimeters thick, but the ADV is 6.5 millimeters thick. So that's upgraded. Like the thickness, you're gonna get a lot less board feel, but it's gonna be way more durable. Like you can see on these shoes, it looks like I didn't even wear them out. Like the herringbone traction is still perfect. So is it worth it? So my full analysis, did these shoes make me break my ankle? Should you spend $100 on them? I don't think they made me break my ankle. I was doing a frontside wall ride. I was just waiting for my friends to show up to the spot. I wasn't even filming because I was like, oh, I'll just dink around on these banks for a second. And I came down, I think my foot slipped off my nose just at the angle I was coming down. And then instead of rolling this way, like hitting the ground or rolling this way, my foot caught this way. And then I put all my weight on it and like did that, which wasn't fun. I don't think that was the shoe's fault, maybe because it was so slippery. I don't think so. Overall, I actually enjoyed skating in these. Like, they fit really good. I feel like I was able to do just about everything I wanted to do. It takes a couple sessions to like figure out the flick and like everything, but that's pretty much every shoe. There's not tons of board feel, and they're a little slippery, and they definitely feel a little harder underfoot than the, anything that has like a foam midsole. On my skating confidence chart, I would rate them 1 being I can't skate at all, and 10 being put me in the Olympics, I'm actually Vincent Malou or Kate Ursula. I would honestly give these a 7. It's like I could do everything I wanted to do in them, and you can't deny it. The Adidas just look good on your feet. Like the 3-stripe logo, it looks good without being too loud. I feel like you can wear these shoes with like any outfit. I think Adidas should start over and do these again and release another Superstar ADV with, like a nicer foam in them, kind of like what Asics did with the Gel Vica. Like you could do that, like that same sort of wedge, and like maybe put like a little chunk of like boost foam in the heel. I think that'd be sick. Definitely better leather for sure. The shell toe and that are good. Keep them as they are. So there it is. That's everything you should know. I feel like if you're skating, you might actually just want to buy a normal pair of Superstars sometimes. Maybe just avoid this specific suede model, or if you like your outsoles lasting way longer than your uppers, the ADVs are good for you. Whatever you do, buy your Adidas from a skate shop because they usually have the best shoes. Let me know what other shoes we should do. I'm recovering for 4 months. 12 weeks on crutches before I can even go to PT. So I want to do a bunch of stuff like, best slip-on shoes, because that's all I can get into right now. If you want to skate a shoe while my ankle's broken and down for the next 3 to 4 months, sign up for the skate testing pool below. And I put a question there that's like, I want to skate. Yes, no. Do I prefer cup sole or vulc? So just fill that out, and if you're already on the skate testing pool, just fill it out. I think you can sign up one more time and just fill out that last question. You can probably skip everything else. So if you're already on it, sign up again. The only caveat is that if you get the shoes and don't end up skating them and it doesn't work out, then everybody gets cut off and I won't do this anymore. I'll announce the skater on October 29th in that video, so stay tuned. But if you do win, I will send you a fresh pair of the shoes after you send us back the shoes, so you get a free pair of shoes out of it. You get your clips in the video, you can start making connections, brag to all your friends, become pro, get sponsored, break your own leg, get cut off, get addicted to opiates, and there you go. That's it. My crutch has been in the shot the whole time.